Andy Lewis, I'm church president. Got a real quick statement about how we are standing and where we are. Obviously we're doing great with this school, but this has been a really special time, wouldn't you agree, that we've been doing? There's been minor things going on, like, we had this pastoral vacancy you may have noticed. We remodeled a sanctuary, did a good job on this. This is looking really good, although most people can't come to it. We've expanded the school, as Melody has talked about, and this call process, and all this was what we expected to have going on this year. And then this minor thing like this COVID-19 stuff comes up, which kind of makes it things. So it has all sorts of limitations, and so what can we expect as a congregation to happen next? We've got continued blessings from God. God is doing wonderful, marvelous things here, even where we're at. That vision plan that we talked about last year and worked through, not knowing this COVID would come or anything like this, we are doing that. From the school, we've just finished a series of mission, vision, values of telling you what we've been planning on. And even in these adversity and trial times, we're there. Our mission, what we had planned as our vision was being biblically based, meaningful relationships, intentional outreach, and the CDC stuff there. And so basically we're doing that. We have this biblically based, we're doing this continuous study, worship, spiritual growth, things like most by Zoom, but we're still doing most of those there. We are building these Christ-centered relationships through those studies, through the Zoom, through the missional small groups that are coming up. We are taking intentional outreach activities from here with us, but calling, discussing, talking with people, and the school families Melanie talked about, and all these other upcoming events that like Susan is working on for the fall. CDC, we just heard a lot about that, how well that's going for there. So how do we do this? We do this by leaning on God's grace and his blessings. There's nothing else but that. God has given us these gifts, these time, talents, treasures, testimonies that we have. And now is the time that we're doing this. We have ways to bring those together with these time and talent survey that you can click on this QR code if you want. It'll be in the blast. It's the time to look at pledges for how much time we're thinking we're going to devote to God, how much financial aspects that we have that we would do for that. There's also a QR code for those of you at home right now, or it'll be in the blast on Wednesday there. Everything, because of COVID, needs to get done electronically this year. We're not passing out pieces of paper, bringing them back, reinfecting each other. We try to limit that. So it's really important that you look at the blast and you look at the ways to get this done. So why are we doing this now? Well, the main thing we're doing for this now is because we need to continue to plan our outreach activities. We need to plan how we're going to fund the new resident pastor that we're having, and really the budget for this outreach and support stuff. This is a strange year, if you haven't noticed. In the past, when we've asked for pledges, we've got about 40%. 20 years ago, it was up at 70 or 80%. And we always just have to make guesses as to what kind of programs, things we are able to do. This year, of any year, it's way more important that people give us an estimate of where you feel God is leading you. So the BOD and the call committee, and we can plan much better for this. There's so many variables, we want to keep them down as much as we can. So how do you do this? Well, there'll be a link in the Wednesday blast. There are those CR codes that you can go back to the recording for this if you want. It'll be on our website of an event there. Electronically is tricky, but to let you know that the part that's a pledge, the only people who see the numbers, the only person who sees the numbers is our financial secretary, just like we've done all in the past, even with the pieces of paper. So Marcia Geisert is the one who will see those. Nobody else sees those. The rest of the time and talents things get spread out so we can use the things you request for that. So what does giving generously mean? What are we supposed to be doing with this? Well, let me get my little notes because it's too small. We want to look and see what we can do to show that importance of God in my life, and what times and talents and treasures we can do. And how do we do that? Well, prayer is the first big important thing that we all want to be keeping into. So praying this boldly to expand God's kingdom, to involve ourselves in the lay ministries, to get involved. It's harder to get involved now with this COVID thing. It takes a little more proactive. People are reaching out, reach back with them. Teach, mentor, and challenge. Everybody you know around here has some needs that can help others or be helped. Take that opportunity. Certainly this pledging and giving is really important too, like we talked about before, just so we know what we are doing, so we can find out what God is going to give us this year through your pledges and tithes. And as in 1 Peter says, each of you should use whatever gift you have received to serve others as faithful stewards of God's grace in its various forms. So, to God be the glory alone. We are always moving toward God's future for us as a congregation. He has amazingly blessed us to keep moving even in these times.